I wanted to share a video with you today about how to do a psychic or an intuitive tarot reading. It's something that a couple of people have asked about, so if it was you, here it is. I'm actually going to start off by talking about the value of understanding the meanings of the cards as well. I've chosen the High Priestess to represent an intuitive or a psychic reading, but the High Priestess and the Hierophant are a matched pair. The Hierophant is the priest of the Persephone mysteries, and we have Persephone clearly indicated in the High Priestess with the pomegranates on the curtain behind her. So I would argue, which may annoy you if you were looking for an easy way into this, but I would argue that the equal partner of any intuitive reading is the wisdom, knowledge and understanding of whichever cards you are choosing to read with. So now we've covered that, we'll move the Hierophant well out of the way and we'll focus on the High Priestess, intuition or psychic if you prefer. To me, an intuitive reading or a psychic reading comes from your mindset. It comes from the ability to calm your mind and enter a slightly trance-like state before you start reading the cards. We're talking here about effectively the more magical side of tarot. And in my experience, all magical practices start with preparation beforehand. Once you've got good at this, it may only take a few minutes. In the early days, it might take you a little while. But we're talking about the adjustment from the logical left brain into the much more heart-centered right brain, where you can receive the intuitive wisdom. All I can actually do is talk about how I do this, and then my advice is to try what I do. Blend anything that you already have in your life that works for you and find the unique way that is most powerful for you. The best way I think to start with is what I call earth breathing. You may have another name for this. And that is to sit in ideally quite an upright position. Now, if you are on a couch or a bed, if possible, bend your knees so your feet are flat on the couch or the bed. If you're on a chair, then sitting with, effectively, however you can manage it, sitting with your feet flat on the floor. And then breathing in through the soles of your feet. And allowing that earth energy to rise. And then with every out breath, just letting go. Now, if you have another breath technique that you already use, perhaps through yoga or meditation, then you might prefer to stick with that. But I strongly recommend a few moments at the least, preferably longer, of focused breath work before you even pick up the cards. And already I've had a bit of a fractious day. We had a very long day out yesterday. Already just taking the time to sit here, breathing in through the soles of my feet, and then with every out breath, just letting go. Because if you want to connect psychically or intuitively, the first thing you need to do is to calm down your mind. That inner critic that we all have. And with every out breath, I want you to imagine that you are letting go of expectation. You're letting go of story. Letting go of fear. You are creating a clear channel. Just for this moment, you are pushing your expectations, your story your fear, your emotions to one side. Because what we want with the tarot, whether we're reading for ourselves or whether we're reading for someone else, we want a direct line to our higher guidance, our divinity, our spirit guides, call it what you will, the universe. But we just want our ego, our emotions to step to one side for a minute. This isn't spiritual bypassing. We're not claiming that we're perfect. We're just pausing to be fully connected to source. And you'll see this referred to as empty bone, hollow vessel. There's many names for it. But what we're doing is we're getting into a slightly trance state where our inner critic or our ego is not the one guiding the conversation from the cards. It's that wiser part of ourselves that we all have a different name for. Now, the next practical piece of advice I'll give you is to pick up your tarot cards. Think of something you do that you find really relaxing. Now, it doesn't work for everything. Knitting won't work for this. Being in the bath won't work for this. So something that you don't use your hands for that's not wet. And when you're doing this, listening to a podcast, watching a movie, maybe just lying in bed watching the starlight through the window, shuffle your cards. If you've ever joined one of my Zoom classes, you may or may not have noticed I'm often shuffling my cards through most of my Zoom classes, not intending to read them, but I'm so used to now shuffling my cards being a relaxing experience that I shuffle them even when I'm not reading them. And at times of really high stress, this is a bit of a secret here, you might even see me doing this. Because honestly, stupid as it sounds, this movement is hardwired to calm me down. Now, I really had to lean in this because when my marriage was going really crazy, when COVID was so scary, because let's remember there was a time when it was really scary, I still had to read for clients. No reading, no rent paid. Simple. And I got very, very good at being sat in front of a client on Zoom, of course, during lockdown, and being able to really enter this state. To use my breathing and my deep comfort of my cards to create a magical bubble where my emotions and my fear and my story was put to one side. And if you're reading for someone else, what you are doing is you're putting your expectations of them to one side. Because we all do that. We see somebody either in person or in Zoom, and we're quickly reading body language. We're quickly reading clothes and logos and brands. We all do it, and we come up with expectations. And as a psychic tarot reader, we're letting that go. And then when you're ready, when you feel, we all feel something but different. I feel a bit lightheaded. My feet feel as if they're welded to the floor. I feel calm. I feel energized. I feel happy. I'm not reading for anything in particular. The main part, 9 minutes of this video has been about before you even read a card, and that's done on purpose. Not the 9 minutes, I'm pretty impressed with that. But the bulk of this video is to remind you the mental preparation before you start reading is what takes you into this slightly altered state of consciousness. If I'm reading the tarot, and hey, sometimes I do, and I'm logically interpreting the wisdom that I know from the cards, then I'm in Hierophant. If I'm chanting in the barns and I'm just allowing whichever sacred sound to carry me on my journey that comes to me, then I'm fully in High Priestess. And I do still believe that a good tarot reading, whether you think of it intuitively or not, if you've taken the time to calm your mind, release your expectation, let go of what you're expecting, and then you can pull the cards and you can just allow the information to come to you. Now, I'm reading for myself because it's ethically much easier to read for myself live than anyone else. Queen of Wands, you know what? I'm starting to do that. I am at a festival at the end of this month, August, where I am selling my books and my rune cards and the rune sets that my kids have made. And I know the first question anyone is going to ask us is, why are you using these weird runes? Because I use the Scandinavian Futhark, not the Germanic one. And the more I've understood about it, the more excited I am by the way that I work. So I am feeling as if I own my space more now, which is good. And I own my space because I've worked damn hard to get here. Three of Pentacles, I've worked a long time to get to this point. I started my rune journey in arguably 1997 was the real start. 1999 was the really focused start. I started my tarot journey around about 97 as well. I really started my tarot journey in 2003. The year that I was pregnant with my daughter. And, you know, I've worked hard to get to this point. I've not really been distracted by other things. And interestingly, with the Fool, a new beginning, I do feel a new beginning. I do feel that I've got a lot more confidence now in who I am. And it's interesting with my YouTube channel, sometimes, you know, when I look at my older videos, which I don't do very often, I can really feel the difference in me as a person. My YouTube channel, sometimes I wonder, you know, should I delete some of the old videos? And I think, no, these videos chart my journey. And I'm happy with that journey. Despite all of this, I am still working from a place of fear. There are many fears there. We've all got them if we you know, are honest. In an intuitive spread, what I would then do, and I will do it super quick, is I would take that card. These are so positive. I'm so happy with those. The Moon. What am I not seeing clearly? The Moon is often a card of not seeing things clearly because, of course, the Moon only reflects light. I used to be a science teacher. So, you know, the Moon reflects light. And when something is reflected, it's distorted. When things are distorted, we're usually scared of them. What am I afraid of and what do I do about it? And to me, an intuitive reading is when you often start to move away from complex spreads and you are chatting with your cards. You're conversing with your cards. I always shuffle whenever there's a new question because I'm asking my cards something different. It's a conversation. I'm scared that I can't meet my dreams. I do have dreams. I'm only human. Oh, yeah. Money. I am scared of money. The older my kids get, the less support I get for them from government and from their father. And yet, because I have no money or to give my children, at this point, I'm not asking for rent because they are investing their money in their careers. And I'm really proud of that. So my fear is usually about money. I'm only human. And here in the UK at the moment, the rental market is a pretty scary place to be. I do rent. I am scared about, I love my home. Been here for 12 years, but sometimes I get scared of that. I get scared of not reaching my dreams because my dreams allow me to have a firm financial foundation and keep my home for my kids. So if I was going further, if I was reading for a client or I was reading for myself, the next line would be, what do I need to do about this? But looking at it, actually, the only negative card in relation to what I'm asking about is the Moon, and the Moon is fears. So maybe the tarot is telling me not to bother wasting time on my fears. So that is sort of my explanation of the importance of that altered state of consciousness and about taking the time to get into that before you start reading the cards. I hope you found this helpful. Do subscribe and add your comments. If there's something you'd like me to cover in these videos, let me know, because that's where I get all of my ideas from.